ओम सर्वधर्मस्थापकस्त्वं सर्वधर्मस्वरूपकः आचार्याणां महाचार्यो Ramakrishnaaya te namaha. We are studying the last chapter of Sri Ramakrishna, the great master, as the spiritual teacher, first part. It is about Thakur's relation as Guru with the Gurus. And we have read about Bhairavi Brahmani and her two disciples. And about Tota Puri, we have learned many things. What Saradananda Swamiji is showing now from yesterday last para is that he did not know or understand about bhakti. So, some shortcomings of Tota Puri are being shown. In that very series, one more shortcoming will be shown now. But before we take that, this question so many people have asked and will go on asking. Why Saradananda Swamiji called that Tota Puri was a Jivan Mukta? And that Saradananda Swamiji has explained through psychology. He had the experience of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But as we understand, especially from Gita and Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, that Gita will take first, 13th chapter. Yada bhuta prithak bhavam ekatvam anupashyati tata evacha vistaram brahma sampadhyate tada. One has realized Brahman only when one sees the variety merge into one. And from the same one, again, it says that there is expansion or spreading. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, throughout, Sarvatmabhava is the final goal. That I am all. So, according to the Upanishads, Nirgun Sagun Brahma is the real nature. And Saradananda Swamiji has described also some few paragraphs back that when one comes back from Nirvikal Samadhi, then only one really knows that Brahman is all pervading. So Nirvikal Samadhi is a must, nobody says no. But after Nirvikal, now another question, that Jivas, they lapse into Nirvikal Samadhi, do not come back. Agreed. And in that sense, Tota Puri is being called Jivan Mukta. One who has clearly realized the unreality of the world, there is no dragging force to bring him back again in life. And he is living now. So he is Jivan Mukta. Now the full truth or the full face of the truth, that also we have seen that these Vedantis know that, but they cannot pay any importance to that. And another thing I have been telling is that this is not Tota Puri. This is all the Shankarites. Because of Shankar's emphasis on Nirgun Brahma, they say this Saguna is not at all there. Anyway, and in the vital points, again and again I will remind people, we read in the Brihadaranyaka Bhashya recently, Ishopanishad 8th mantra, Paribhu Swayambhu, is Shankar wanted that Saguna is below. Paribhu means, Pari has the meaning that from all sides. But Shankar has not taken the meaning there. He says Pari means Upari Vartate, beyond. And the Swayambhu translation by Shankar appears just like Thakur's sentence. You know how Swayambhu? Generally Swayambhu we say about Nirgun. But he says, yes, listen, Yasya Upari Bhavati, Yasya Upari Bhavati, Sa Swayameva Bhavati iti Swayambhu. Yasya Upari Bhavati, that means this world is there and Brahman is beyond. So he is beyond this world. Yasya Upari Bhavati, and that Brahman which is beyond, both he is. Yasya Upari Bhavati, Yasya Upari Bhavati, Sa Swayameva Bhavati. That is Swayam. He himself is beyond and he himself is that from which he is beyond. This is something like Thakur telling about Kali, that Kali is beyond Tirgunatita and Kali is Tirgunadharini, or Kali has become 24 tattvas, though really he is beyond. So that is the thing. Now this emphasis on Nirguna has made this drawback, and that Thakur has corrected. As a result of this not paying attention to Sagun Brahma, he could not understand Bhakti. Now one more point we are taking, that also about all-pervadingness. So we start with para 34, page 684. What led to Tota's giving up anger? And in this we'll see something great about Tota also, something very great about Tota. On the other, okay, giving up anger. From this we can understand. Suppose you have 10 rupees, you give it up. We were living in the house, we gave up. But to give up Krodha, that means the subtler qualities of the mind are like objects to him. He gave it up. So it shows greatness of Tota also. Now let us read. On another occasion, the master was sitting after dusk near the Puri's Duni. In the course of conversation about God, the minds of both the master and the saint, the word will used by is God. Actually, Ishwar Prasange. No, Tota Puri does not mention Ishwar. He mentions Brahma. So we should understand this. In the course of conversation about God, the minds of both the master and the saint ascended to a very high plane and were about to merge in the non-dual knowledge. And this now, Saradananda Swamiji is poetry. It is not poetry, it is a realization, you see. And the self in the Duni. So everything is living. It is a deity, it is a goddess. And the self in the Duni near them was, as it were, resided, blazing, throbbingly feeling the oneness with the self in them and smiling blissfully by manifesting 1,000 tongues. As it were, makes it poetry. Just at that time, a servant of the garden wanted to have a smoke, and preparing tobacco in his bowl, came up there for some charcoal fire. and started taking it by putting a piece of burning wood from the dhuni into his bowl. Merged in conversation with the master and enjoying the bliss of the non-dual Brahman within, the saint had not so long been aware of his coming and taking charcoal fire from the dhuni. Now all of a sudden he noticed that, and extremely annoyed and angry, began to call him names and shook the pair of tongues at him threateningly. For we have already said that the holy men of the Naga denominations worship and show great respect to fire in the form of dhuni. Raising a roar of laughter in the state of partial normal consciousness, that means Thakur consciousness was not of this world, but is talking, so there is partial semi-consciousness. The master exclaimed at the behavior of the Puri, "Ah, wretchedness, ah, forgetfulness." Here I have to tell that this translation is not at all happy. Those who understand Bengali or those who have Bengali book will know. Thakur said, Dur Shala, Dur Shala. Now this Shala cannot be literally translated. And Shala is not a very happy word also. It appeared very sweet in Thakur's mind, Thakur's mouth. Wretch. In English, in many places, Thakur Shala has been translated as wretch. But here what could be the expression? I thought about it. And two expressions have come. One came to my mind, one came to our listener. And that is, I will tell the other first. What nonsense? We could also add what foolishness. The other expression can be, is this knowledge? Anyway, I think I explained. Thakur was annoyed and shouted. Thakur was annoyed and was laughing. So, he is telling, what nonsense? Again forget. Is this knowledge? Or that I forget now. Hopeless, hopeless. Shala can be translated as hopeless, hopeless. Okay. I think I put as much as possible before you all, you understand now. A derision. That how raising a roar of laughter in the state of partial normal consciousness, the Thakur exclaimed at this behavior of the Puri, what nonsense. Hopeless, hopeless. He said it over and over again. Vipsa, that means twice it is printed here, Durshala, Durshala, but he went on telling again and again. Laughed and rolled on the ground because of that joy, laughter. Tota was surprised to see that mood of the master and said, why are you doing like that? Don't you see how wrong it was on the part of the man? The master laughed and said, yes, that is true. Yes, that is true means from the part of the man it is wrong definitely. He is not supporting the man. But I see at the same time the depth of your knowledge of Brahman. Depth. That means on the surface it is all right. But when some point comes, it has not gone there. Just now you are saying there is nothing except Brahman, and all things and persons in the universe are merely its manifestation. But forgetting everything, the very next moment, you are ready to beat a man. This is why I love to think of the omnipotence of Maya. That is the main important thing we have been discussing. Maya has been gracious to Tota Puri up till now that Thakur has explained. And as we say, so long as we have teeth, we do not know the importance of teeth. So, this is the influence of Maya. Brahman Shakti. Hearing this, Tota became serious and silent for a short time. That is the greatness. Like we saw in Rani Rasmani. And then said, that means he introspected immediately. He went inside, he introspected, and then said, you are quite right. Under the influence of anger, I forgot everything indeed. Anger is surely a very nasty thing. Anger is in Bengali paji jinish. Okay, nasty thing. Anger is a thing. I give it up this very moment. When I read this, we feel love and respect for Tota Puri. Just like throwing away something, is showing a give anger. And Saradananda Swami just commented. As a matter of fact, since that day, the Swami was never seen to be angry again. He was not given. So this is the Guru and this is the descent. But through all this, we saw that there was a drawback. Where is the drawback? In immanence. If Brahman is everything, then that man is Brahman. Tongue is Brahman, fire is Brahman. And we say, Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Astini Shuni Chaiva Shapake Cha Pandita Samadarshana. About a learned Brahmin, cow, elephant, dog, and the chandalas who eat dog's flesh. About all these things, the man of Brahman is Samadhi. So from this, Saradan Savji is drawing a conclusion through a beautiful story told by Thakur. Man cannot realize God till Maya moves away compassionately from his path. So Maya is what we say personified. And Maya is God Shakti. So it has to be favorable. And because it has been favorable, Tota has not understood that. Now some point has to come, that is providence. Tota is such a high soul that it has to come. And especially coming in touch with Thakur, it has to come. The cause also was Thakur. Because of his love for Thakur, he stayed there for 11 months. The master used to say, caught up in the net of 5 elements, Brahman weaves. Net of 5 elements means our body and our mind. And if the Brahman identifies itself, then it has to experience sorrow also. You may shut your eyes and try to persuade yourself that there is no thorn and no prick. But as soon as the hand touches the thorn, it pricks and you cry out in pain. Similarly, you may do your best to persuade your mind intellectually or mentally that you have no birth or death, no vice or virtue, no pain or pleasure, no hunger or thirst, that you are the immutable self, existence, knowledge, bliss itself. Now, on this point, I'll tell you my personal experience, not experience. There is a beautiful stotra by Shankaracharya, Nirvana Shata. And 3 lines of every stanza tell us, I am not this, I am not this, I am not this. And the 4th line tells, Chidananda Rupa Shivam Shiva. And people are so much moved by that and they sing as if they have become Shiva. We forget that 3 lines. I am not body, I am not mind, I have no father, I have no mother, I have no guru, no shishya. If one feels that, then one is Chidarumba Shivam. Anyway. Now Saradananda Swami is giving examples. But as soon as your body remembering something, one sees a monks conference about in Belur 300, 400 monks are sitting. And as opening song or closing song, I don't remember, one of our Swamis sang this, chanted this Nirvana Shatkam. Another great Swami, he embraced him and said, oh, what joy you have given. That whole scene comes before. But as soon as your body falls a prey to some disease, or your mind is attracted by the pleasure of the passing moments, arising from lust or gold, tempted by the objects of enjoyment such as sight, taste, etc., you happen suddenly to do something wrong. Delusion, anguish, pain, and the like crop up and harass you very much, making you forget all your discrimination and carefully drawn conclusions when you do something wrong. Therefore, know it for certain, my child, that no one can have self-knowledge and be freed from the misery of the world till the grace of God descends on him. And Maya opens the door to liberation and moves away. This opening to door to liberation, in Kathopanishad, Yama is telling Nachiketa, seeing his Vairagya, Vivrutam Sadma Nachiketa Samanne. I see that the hole or the door is open for you to enter. So figuratively it is like that. Have you not heard the Chandi say, Chandi for those non-Bengalis or even to the Bengalis, Durga Saptashati. It is from Devi Bhagavad. And Saptashati because it has 700 verses, but not like Gita. In between, Amuka Vacha, Tamuka Vacha, there are also counted as shlokas. Then 700. So there it is written, when she becomes gracious, she confers boons which cause people's liberation. Sa prasanna varda nrinam bhavati muktaye. Nothing is possible if mother does not bestow her grace and move away from the path. An example thereof, personification. The story of Ram, Sita and Lakshmana traveling in the forest. Ram, Sita and Lakshmana were going through the forest. The path in the forest was narrow. Not even two could go abreast. Rama walked in front with bow in hand. Sita followed, and Lakshmana came after her with bow and arrow to protect her. Lakshmana had so much devotion to and love for Rama that he had a desire in his mind always to see his form, blue in complexion, like a newly formed cloud. But as Sita was between them, he could not see Rama as they were walking, and so became anxious to see. The intelligent Sita understood it, and sympathizing with Lakshmana in his sorrow, moved a little to one side, stood and said to him, there, see. So the Maya understands our keenness to be there. But it is by her grace that we are able to see. opening. It was then that Lakshmana sought to his heart's content the form of Rama, his chosen ideal. Similarly, Maya, represented by Sita, stand between the Jiva and Ishvara. Know it for certain that the Jiva, who is represented by Lakshmana, cannot see God till feeling sympathy with him, she moves to one side. The moment she bestows her grace, the Jiva is blessed with a vision of Narayana, represented by Rama in the example, and is relieved from all the trials and tribulations of the world. Otherwise, however much you may discriminate and draw logical conclusions, it would be of no avail. So again and again we are finding that logic is not final. It is said that one grain of trichotis, what is trichosis? Understood? Jeera. Jeera is called cumins, isn't it? Digest 100 grains of rice. But when there is a disorder in the stomach, even 100 grains of trichotis cannot digest a single grain of rice. This is a good analogy. Oh, not jeera, huh? Jawan. Jawan. In Hindi, ajwain. Marathi, ova. Tamil, oma. So that is trichotis, not cumins. It is not jeera. So one grain of that helps to digest 100 grains of rice. But if the stomach has become bad, then 100 grains will not help. This is a good analogy. Tota did not know that his high state was due to the grace of the Divine Mother. Swami Tota Puri was the recipient of the grace of the Mother of the Universe from his birth. He was in possession from a childhood of good impressions, a sincere mind, the company of a great yogi, and a firm and strong body. Maya, the power of the Lord, did not show him her dreadful and all-devouring form, horrible as the shadow of death, and never made him fall into the snares of her bewitching forms of spiritual ignorance. Therefore, it became an easy affair for him to go forward with the help of his individual effort and perseverance, attain Nirvikalpa Samadhi, realize God, and acquire self-knowledge. How could he understand that the Divine Mother herself had removed all obstacles and impediments with her own hands from the path of his progress and herself moved away from it? Now, after so long a time, the mother was pleased to explain it to Swami Tota. He now got the opportunity of detecting that mistake of his mind. Tota Puri's illness due to physical illness. The revered Puri had the robust physique found in the northwestern parts of India. UP we do not find this robust, Punjab only. Throughout India, the robust are Punjabis. One point here, I've been using the word Punjabi again and again. Bengalis, you know that, you do not know perhaps. Bengalis identify Punjabis with Sikhs only. Punjab is a state of India, physical area. Sikh is a religion. But the Punjabis always make Sikhs as Punjabis. So I'm not talking of Sikhs. The Hindu Punjabis, of course Sikhs are also Hindus, but the Hindu Punjabis, Haryana I told, is a new name. And even in today's Punjab, there are, in Amritsar like town, there are 60% Hindus, 40% Sikhs. When you interior you go, then Sikhs more. So, this I have to state because Northwestern represents Punjab here, and Punjab does not mean Sikhs. Punjab means everybody born and living there. He never knew. No, but Punjabis, I have to tell something. Their habits are very different. Their eating is very different. For example, I will tell an example. This Rajma has become very popular throughout India. But Punjabis do not eat dal in our concept. Every grain they eat full. Moong, sometimes he take moong full. Moong, rungi they say, that kidney beans, and then ma means urad or arar ke dal. That also full. That is one point about the Punjabis. Secondly, when we purchase banana, we cut it and eat some pieces. The Punjabi stands at a shop and takes 6, at least half a dozen kelas and eats there itself. So their eating is different. And what they do, I was talking of Amritsar. As soon as they get up, they go out for a walk. Father, mother, children, that is almost a religion with them. Anyway, he never knew what illness, indigestion, and 100 other kinds of bodily indispositions were. Whatever he ate, he digested. He was never in want of deep sleep, wherever he was. They do not require also these samadhi siddha people. And mental bliss and peace arising from the knowledge and direct revelation of God flowed in his mind in incessant streams in 100 channels. That is due to Vairagya and Niti Niti. Attracted by the love and respect of the Master, he had stayed with him for a few months. But the water of Bengal and its hot, heavy air full of humidity rolled upon his health, and his firm body fell an easy prey to illness. So the outside atmosphere is such in Bengal. He had a severe attack of blood dysentery on account of the painful wringing of the intestines day and night. His mind, although calm and tranquil and accustomed to samadhi, moved away from its existence in Brahman to come down to the body. Brahman had been caught in the net of the 5 elements. What was the way out now, except the grace of the Divine Mother, the ruler over all? This the Saradananda Swami introduced in the beginning, and now he is giving the details. Tota disregarded the indication of the mind. For some time past, before he fell ill, his careful mind, abiding in Brahman, made it known to him that inasmuch as the body was not keeping well, it was not reasonable that he should remain any longer there. But should he go away out of love for his body, leaving behind the wonderful company of the Master? The body was a cage made of bones and flesh, full of blood and other filthy fluids, and abounding in various kinds of germs and worms. You know this, no? Body has thousands or lakhs of bacteria. They help us to digest food. Its very existence has been asserted in the Vedanta Shastra to be a delusion. And looking upon such a body as mine Should he go away hurriedly, forsaking the company of the divine man, the source of infinite bliss? And was it not possible that the disease of the body and other troubles might be contracted wherever he were? Logic. Logic depends upon our state of the mind. And what fear had he, even if disease and other troubles come upon him? It was the body that would suffer, become emaciated or at most be destroyed. But what was that to him? He had, without the shadow of a doubt, seen and felt clearly that he was the self, unattached and immutable, and he had never any relation with the body. What should he? But all that is gone because outside he is having company of Thakur. That requires body and mind. What should he then be afraid of? These and other similar thoughts saved the revered Puri from being restless. Saradananda Swami can enter anybody's mind. Tota went to bid goodbye to the master but was unable to do so. His illness increased. Gradually, as the pain increased a little, the strong Swami Puri felt a desire to leave the place. He went to the master from time to time to take leave of him, but absorbed in talks and divine topics. The divine topics is a better translation than talking about God. He forgot completely to mention that. And when he happened to remember to take leave of the master, sometimes forget, sometimes remember, someone from within, he felt, stopped his mouth for the time being. Feeling hesitant to speak out, the Swami thought that he would better talk of it on the morrow and not on that day. After taking such a decision and having had a conversation on the Vedanta with the master, the Swami Tota would return to his seat under the Panchavati. Time passed, the Swami's body became weaker. And the disease grew more acute. Seeing that the Swami's body was thus daily becoming emaciated, the master had in the meantime made arrangements for his special diet and a little medicine and other remedies. But in spite of all that, the illness went on worsening. The master began to take care of and serve him as far as it lay in his power by asking Mathur to make a special arrangement of medicine, etc., diet, etc. Up till now, it was only in the body that the Swami felt much pain, but was having perfect peace of mind. He could forget all physical pain by merging the mind at will in samadhi. For up till then, he retained full control over his mind. Unable to control the mind, Tota went to give up his body in the Ganga. His vision of the Divine Mother as the universe. Here that image flashed in a wonderful way. Something like a miracle in between that he could not drown in Ganga. It was night. The pain in the intestines had much increased. That pain did not allow the Swami even to lie quiet. He tried to lie down a little but could not and sat up immediately. But there was no relief even then. He thought, let me merge the mind in meditation and let anything happen to the body. But scarcely had he brought the mind to rest by its withdrawal from the body when it turned sharply toward the pain in the intestines. He tried again and again. He cannot sit in nirvikal samadhi, the body will not remain. He tried again and again, the same thing happened. Hardly had the mind reached the plane of samadhi when the body was forgotten, when it came down on account of the pain. He failed as many times as he attempted. The Swami then became terribly annoyed with his own body. He thought, even my mind is not under my control today on account of the trouble from this cage of bones and flesh. Away with this nuisance of a body. I have undoubtedly known that I am not the body. Why do I then remain in this rotten body and suffer pain? What is the utility of preserving it anymore? I will put an end to all suffering by immersing it in the Ganga at the dead of night. He could not tell it to Thakur. Thakur would not accept it. And he could not walk away because of he was with Thakur. Thinking so, because that situation has now gone. Thinking so and fixing the mind with great care on the thought of Brahman, the naked one slowly got down into the water and gradually waded further into deeper water. But was the deep Bhagirathi in truth dry tonight? That means Saradananda Swamiji is living at that physically what happened. Or was it only the external projection of his mental picture? Who could say? Tota almost reached the other bank but could not get water deep enough for drowning himself in. When gradually at last the trees and houses on the other bank began to be visible like shadows in the deep darkness of the night, Tota was surprised and thought, what strange divine Maya is this? Tonight there is not sufficient water in the river even to drown oneself in. Even death is not in our hands. What strange divine Maya is this? Sir, that Maya comes to his mind now. Tonight there is not sufficient water in the river even to drown oneself in. What strange, unheard of play of God. And immediately someone, as it were from within, pulled off the veil over his intellect. In such extreme conditions only, veils are removed. Tota's mind was dazzled by bright light and he saw Mother, Mother, Mother. Mother, the origin of the universe. Mother, the unthinkable power. Mother in land and mother in water. The body is mother and the mind is mother. Illness is mother and health is mother. Knowledge is mother and ignorance is mother. Life is mother and death is mother. Everything I see, hear, think or imagine is mother. She makes nay of ya and ya of nay. Agatana Gatiyana Patiyasi, that is the name of the Shakti. That which cannot be made, she makes. That is, she is expert in that. As long as one is in the body, one has no power to be free from her influence. Not even to die. Till she wills. It is that mother again who is also beyond body, mind and intellect. So he understood the connection. The mother, the supreme force, devoid of all attributes. That one whom Tota has so long been worshipping as Brahman and to whom he offered his heartfelt love and devotion was this very mother. Shiva and Shakti in one. Who was ever existing in the form of Hara Gauri, Brahman and Brahma Shakti are one and the same. That came to his. Tota gave up his determination to die. Now you'll understand, let me go away, sort of like. Wading his way through the water in the same manner in which he had gone, Tota began to return with his heart full of devotion, directly experiencing at the dead of night the unthinkable, unmanifest and all-pervading form of the Mother of the universe. With his heart full of devotion, directly experiencing in the dead of night the unthinkable, unmanifest and all-pervading form of the Mother. Mother of the universe, with all the quarters of the heavens reverberating with the profound cries of Mother. And at the same time, completely offering himself as an oblation at her feet. Though there was pain in the body, there was now no feeling of it. Now the mind becomes really free. Understood this important thing? We go on telling the world is illusory, world is non-existing. What happens? Let me give an example. My father is dead. Meaning is my dead father is. Understood this? My Guru used to call this negative realism. So world is unreal means the unreal world is. Now Brahman is everything, now the world has become really unreal. So the Brahman which is beyond this, itself has manifested as all this. Now world is really unreal. This is the main point. Shankara has explained it in the second mantra of the Mandukya Upanishad. His heart was now beside itself in an unprecedented place, arising from the memory of Samadhi. This Samadhi means this knowledge. No, we are coming to an end. Time is there. Samadhi smritir apuru ullase ullasi. So this flash of knowledge itself is being called Samadhi. The Swami came slowly to the Dhuni under the Panchavati, sat up there and spent the rest of the night in meditation and repetition of the name of the Divine Mother. Tota had, as the result of his illness, the knowledge that Brahman and the power of Brahman were one and the same. As soon as it was morning, the master came to inquire about his health and found him a different person altogether. His face was beaming with bliss, lips blooming with a smile, and his body free from all illness whatever. This is itself as well. But he will not fall in the trap now, he will go away. Tota asked the master by sign to sit near him and described slowly all the events of the night. It is the deceased, said he, that has acted as a friend to me. I had the vision of the mother of the universe last night, and I am freed from the disease by her grace. That also is her grace. So what if everything follows mother's command? How ignorant I was so long. Well, please persuade your mother now, your mother, to allow me to leave this place. I am now convinced that it was she who kept me confined here somehow or other in order to teach me this truth. It cannot be otherwise. For I thought long ago of going away from this place and went to you over and over again to take leave of you. But someone, as it were, diverted my mind to other topics and prevented me every time from mentioning it to you. The master said smilingly, well, you did not accept the mother before and argued with me, saying that Shakti was unreal. But you have now seen her yourself, and direct experience has got the better of your arguments. Oh, I suddenly remember something. One of my lectures, the president was a professor of logic. So he said that the speaker was emotional at times. Emotion, however good, cannot replace solid reason. Now there was no chance for me to reply there. But our revered Prabhananji asked me to make a paper out of it. So when I wrote it, I got the chance. And I told this incident and said, but we know that reason, however solid it may appear, can never replace experience. And we know the difference between emotion and feeling. And feeling is nearer to that experience than reason is. You understand? This is what he is saying. But you have now seen her yourself, and direct experience has got the better of your arguments. She has convinced me already of the fact that just as fire and its burning power are not different, so Brahman and the power of Brahman are not different, but one and the same. We call it power when we see names and forms. Otherwise, it is Brahman. Tota accepted the Divine Mother and left. When they heard the morning tune of the Nabat, both the great souls bound to each other in the relation of teacher and disciple like Shiva and Rama. You know this, no? Shiva is Rama's Guru and Rama is Shiva's Ishta. Guru also. So that is the relation. Stood up, went to the temple of the Divine Mother and prostrated themselves before her holy image. Both of them felt in their heart of hearts that the mother was pleased and had graciously given Tota permission to leave that place. A few days later, he took leave of the master, left the Dakshineshwar Kali temple and started westward. This was his first and last visit to the temple, for Swami Puri never again came thither. Tota's knowledge of the art of converting baser metals into gold, alchemy. You know this word alchemy? Chemistry started with the only one idea of finding gold. And Ayurveda started with only one idea of finding a common medicine for everything. One liquid which can dissolve everything. And that answer is, in India, Parasmani. And one has to have knowledge of that. And Saradananda Swami is specially mentioning this to tell us that it is not a Kumadanti. Tota knew that. So that is mentioning in the word. One word more and we shall have said everything we heard from the master himself about Tota Puri. The Puri believed in alchemy. Not only did he have a belief, but said to the master that he, by virtue of that knowledge, had converted on several occasions copper and other baser metals into gold. Tota used to say that the ancient Paramahamsas of his community knew the art and he inherited the knowledge from them lineally by Guru Parampara. He said beside, it is completely forbidden to serve one's selfish interest or enjoy luxury with the help of this art. There is a curse of the teachers on such youth. But there live in the community many holy men, and the head of the community has sometimes to go with them from one place of pilgrimage to another. At that time, arrangements have to be made for their food and other necessities. The teacher has, however, allowed us to make use of this knowledge for that purpose if we are ever in need of money. The conclusion. It is thus that the Bhairavi Brahmani and Tota Puri, the knower of Brahman, he has repeated that knower of Brahman, were blessed, having reached perfection in their particular paths, with their perfection in their particular paths, with the help of the master as the spiritual teacher. We can also very well infer from it that the other subsidiary spiritual teachers of the master were similarly imbued with spiritual Catholicity within. Catholicity means Udarata, dharmic udarata is Catholicism. His mind has become broad. That is Catholicism. By Ravis and Totas both. So we have come to the end of first part. From tomorrow, we shall take up. Now those who have great mastery in 2 volumes, they'll have to shift to the second volume. Those who have in 1 volume, it continues. So inside part-wise, we have finished the third part, we will shift to the fourth part. It is also same topic continuing as the spiritual teacher. This was the spiritual teacher 1, that is spiritual teacher 2. So now 2-3 minutes only are available. We shall take it up tomorrow. And some people may say summarize everything. We have seen, let me summarize. That Thakur's Guru Bhav is his own property. In childhood also it manifested. And on the day he started doing puja of Kali the mother, it was started manifesting in force. And there we saw Rasmani, Mathur and his own gurus. And similar some topics will be in the Uttarartha. About other sampradayas, about some other sadhus, that. So, this is the conclusion. Remember that preface was wrong. Om Sarvadharma Sthapakasvam Sarvadharma Swarupaka Acharyanam Mahacharyo Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Jaya